Welcome, everyone, to a new edition of the Industrial Innovators podcast. And today we're going to be talking about a new company, a new division, and a new service offering that the Innovator Group is offering called StrataEdge. Mikey Brown, tell me about StrataEdge and what it's all about.
Yeah, so we created Strata because right now we do a lot of service offerings with unique technologies, but we found that more and more people are reaching out to purchase these items and self-perform, and we didn't want to mix that with the other side of our business. So we've created a product sale company called StrataEdge Technologies, and what it does is it provides people with various items from cold work grinding tools, composite repairs, a full fleet of cold cutting equipment, bolting equipment, like you name it. A lot of neat technologies just to offer even direct competitors in just the general marketplace.
Yeah, I mean, the way I think about Strata is it's a natural progression of the purpose of our group of companies, right? So, our purpose as a group of companies is to create value through innovation. And it doesn't say that we've got to do it all. We're trying to create innovation and value. And
Mhm.
so there's innovation in technology and there's innovation in delivery. And Strata is trying to do a bit of both of that, I think, for our broader customer base. And I think sometimes there's, if you think about all the things we do and offer, some of it is brand new, leading edge technology that needs a level of expertise and training and experience to be able to apply that. And that's certainly where the field services part of our group of companies comes in. But you think about things like composite repair, it's becoming much more mainstream now that there's new legislation, and there's a lot more variety of the types of applications where people need to be able to do this in maintenance, for embedded general contractors, even on pipeline, where they've already got crews and they need to be able to self-perform. I think Strata fills that void in terms of a new delivery method to be able to help people with that technologies. But then you look at like bolting, field machining, and like tube tools, like tube expanders, tube rolling equipment, tube cleaning equipment. Those were in their day leading edge new technologies, but it's been 30 years since um, the adoption of technical bolting has been constantly growing and expanding. And you think about the innovation curve. The innovation curve goes, the first 10% is innovation. Then after that, you get into early adopters, then you get into late adopters. And so any technology goes through that curve and eventually it becomes mainstream. So 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it wasn't common for general contractors to want to do cold cutting on their own or use test plugs or do torquing and tensioning. Today, it's much more commonplace. And the innovation that we need to bring with Strata for those technologies is innovation in delivery. And I think innovation in cost, right? There needs to
Mhm.
be new ways to, and so I think Strata kind of brings both of those things together. There's new technology that is wired for self-performing, like
Mhm.
cold grinding, like the new AI-powered tube inspection. Those technologies are built for broad adoption. And then you've got existing technologies that have been around a long time that really need the innovation needs to be in how it's been delivered, and that has to be in training, consulting, and in a better cost pattern to allow people to be able to use their crews to self-perform. And so that's, for me, that's how why Strata exists, is to allow maintenance teams and contractors alike to be able to self-perform and to be innovative in terms of the delivery method, so it doesn't have to have field service technicians go out, help do their training. We can provide them with technical support
Mhm.
and
Yes.
be creative in the pricing strategies, because as you know, we've been able to get master distribution agreements for all of this technology that has given us the ability to lower our costs so that we act as a distributor instead of a service
Mhm.
provider. So I think all that.
That's one of the big things is as a service provider, I daily am bringing in shipments and crossing borders and worrying about timing and everything else. And with Strata, what our play is because we have such a big footprint across Canada, we plan to locally keep materials and equipment that you guys would need at any given time, and we can just provide it to them for essentially the same cost that they would be paying from the suppliers.
Right. Yeah, it's a lower cost, and we deal with the logistics, we deal with the supply chain challenges.
Mhm.
Plus, we're able to provide technical support. So it's not, you're not just buying material, you're buying the know-how with a phone call away, engineering packages, help you with quality packages,
Yeah. You
different
touch
kinds of
on that as well. We actually can certify technicians on various items. So we actually can put on full training courses. We've done it for up to 20 plus people, both inspectors and engineers on legislation training, all the way to actually certifying technicians and people to put material on and purchase it directly from Strata. So we do have a robust kind of training department where we can take care of any of those needs, but also provide you with all the materials in a timely fashion for quality price.
Yeah, and the training that you're talking about there is certified installer training for composites for your crews, AB 539 inspectors training, which is a requirement under legislation that customers provide or users of composite repair make sure that their inspectors know how to inspect and look for all the documentation and the right criteria. Something else that you're working on now, I believe, is a engineer's course. Can you tell me a little bit about what you're doing there and how that's coming along?
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, when we're registering these items through ABSA and everything else, we need to stamp them that the calculations make sense. But not all of the engineers are up to snuff with what they should be looking for when it comes to designing compliant composite repairs. And we just want to make a small outline of a course that can walk them through how we land from A to Z, right? And give them the knowledge on what they're looking at. So that coupled with the AB 539 inspector course can give end users a lot of a broader picture of what's allowed to use composites for.
Right. So that covers composite, from start to finish, from installers, inspectors, and engineering calculation training to really help, kickstart an owner or a contractor's ability to self-perform. But we also offer training and certification in our cold grinding and surface prep equipment.
Mhm.
Particularly the cold grinding equipment needs some additional training to make sure people don't skip certain parts of how to use that technology properly. We were starting to the user training on the Mach 1 tube inspection system to
Mhm.
certify other NDE companies to be able to put the Mach 1 into their tube inspection fleet. And of course, we have lots of expertise in training in technical bolting, torquing, tensioning, ultrasonic stress measurement, cold cutting, and basic flange facing. I don't think owners and general contractors should try to get into advanced field machining until you get the basics down, right? I mean, it's much like our own competency program. There's a progression in skills in terms of all of these things, in terms of, you got to be able to do basic wraps before you can do complex geometry. You've got to be able to do cold cutting and basic flange facing before you get into heat exchangers and ring joints. And so, with the equipment that we're selling today, torquing, tensioning, nut splitting, flange spreaders, we provide training and qualification for all of that. Basic cold cutting, basic flange facing, we can offer our clients training in. And then obviously we've got all the whole array of tube equipment. So no one's probably seen this yet. So it's a pretty new announcement that we can offer full support and systems for tube rolling, tube expanding, tube removal tool, a whole array of tube cleaning tools, basically everything to do with heat exchangers, furnaces, and boilers. When you've got tubes, we've got all the tube tools that you need in Strata. And again, some of the innovation in there, it's not always about the technology. Sometimes it's innovation in supply chain with logistics and warehousing. It's innovation in cost. We've been able to drive down the cost of a lot of those more, I would say, commoditized specialty services like bolting, machining, and tube tools. Those, one of the things we really focused on there is really being able to find partners and equipment that could drive the costs down for people, because customers are facing all sorts of cost pressures in this crazy deglobalized world that we seem to be in.
Yeah, and two more that were really neat, like just like Innovator does, we really do pride ourselves on bringing new things to the market and innovation. And one of them was a smart composite. So it's actually a system that you can put underneath of a wrap, and it will tell you what your remaining wall life is and life of the repair. So it kind of gives you eyes and ears underneath of your wrap when you put it on. Very neat product. And also, we have a system that is able to detect any leaks in remote locations or in your plant site at all. So it essentially gives you full access via a phone control or a computer, and you can literally monitor all of your pieces of equipment and get ahead of these leaks before they even happen. So a couple of neat items that are coming out. And then, as you know, eventually down the line, I think that once we get our feet underneath of us here, we're going to start to offer actually leak repair components, which would be huge for the market.
Yeah, I mean, some of the things you touched on there, obviously it's InductoSense is the technology that is coupled with composites to be able to monitor the thickness of pipe underneath the composite. So, over the years, lots of clients have wondered, particularly integrity, focused people and certain engineers around, well, after you wrap it and you reinforce the system and bring it back to its structural strength, how do I know what's happening underneath it? And that's always been a challenge. Some people have tried X-ray, some people have experimented with different types of UT to try to figure out how to do that. But the ultrasonic sensors that just attach to the pipe and then you wrap over top of them is a real game changer in that, right? And
Mhm.
I'm super excited about the Internet of Things sensor system, the Pulse technology. When we originally looked at it, we thought, at least I did, thought it was a novel leak detection system. And that's one of the many things that it can do. But it has sensors for vibration, for temperature, for pressure,
Pumps, yeah.
and so there's a whole array of wireless sensors that allow you to basically do condition monitoring of pumps, valves, steam traps, piping, flange leaks, you name it, all of these different things that have, either needed manual intervention for years or were disconnected systems. With our new Pulse technology, all of that is now sort of Internet of Things. A customer gets their own cloud interface. It can then be exported into their own integrity systems for monitoring and reporting. So I'm pretty excited about how that fits into sort of the niche, right? I mean, the niche of Strata at its highest level is to help customers self-perform, using innovation in the areas of inspecting, repairing, and modifying pressurized systems. Much like Innovator's niche is to do that with services. We're doing it with technology training and consulting on the Strata side. And, looking for the right technologies that fit that. I think what we've got going on with the Mach 1 tube inspection system, the InductoSense smart composite system, and the Pulse system, I think is starting to turn into a really great set of technologies from a self-perform, self-install inspection set of tools. And then, of course, you mentioned, we've got the online repairs like leak repair components coming online so that customers can buy flange clamps and elbows and line enclosures, all the different systems we have for training and then supplying the material at better cost structures for engineered composite repair. And then the more traditional, more established technologies like bolting, field machining, and tube installation and repairs. It's counterintuitive, because why would a service company create a whole set of supply chain competitors for itself? Well, the reality is that we're trying to service a broad market, and not everyone wants field technicians to come out and do the work when they already have 50 embedded maintenance people working for them, right?
Yeah. And one other thing too is, I'm so passionate about composites, and I know you've been around them for a very long time as well. So what we've been doing is not just for our competitors and for everything else, but the actual industry as a whole. We've been pushing towards getting it more recognized straight across Canada. So obviously ABSA and TSASC are already allowing these things, and we've registered, hundreds of them with both. But what we're doing at Strata as well is we're pushing towards getting other regulatory bodies to recognize composites as a long-term repair, and we have a lot of things underway that I think will start to change the marketplace straight across Canada and not just here in the West.
Yeah, we've seen this with lots of different technologies where we've had a really long push with one or the other particular pressure authority. And once we kind of get that ball rolling, it creates its own momentum. But it does take a lot of lobbying, a lot of passion, a lot of work to get those dominoes to move. And, there's still work to do. I mean, we've still got a lot of work to do. Strangely enough, and I was always surprised by this, that we got more and faster buy-in with engineered composites as a controlled solution with nuclear clients in the East before we've made the same level of progress with traditional oil and gas or boiler, the pressure authorities having that same recognition for those systems. So, we've got to get Ontario, New Brunswick, and other jurisdictions on board with adopting this level of control, that suppliers have to have testing in place, that installers need to be certified, that their procedures need to be registered, that there's a quality control process, that inspectors are trained and certified in how to use this technology properly. I mean, systematically, it just makes sense, right? I mean, everyone has these sorts of step-by-step processes and qualifications in place for something like welding. That's pretty commonplace. But you add a new technology and everyone kind of scratches their heads a little bit and tries to figure out how they're supposed to adopt it and when they will and if they will. And the work that our team has done to lobby pressure authorities on engineered composite repair, it's been a goal and a passion of mine personally for as long as I can remember. And, we've made a lot of progress in the last 5 years, but there's still a lot of work to do. And it takes passionate people to be really persistent when you're dealing with a range of different bureaucratic organizations that, they take their time to make sure that to decide if they're going to do it and how they're going to do it. But we have lots of clients who want it, who need it, and who need better ways to manage their pressure boundary systems, right?
Yeah, we're taking the time to help them cross the T's and dot the I's. It's a slow thing, especially with our course that we created directly for inspectors and engineers to take to understand it all. That gives us a big foot up when we approach these places to start bending the.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like the law of familiarity, right? When you put off training classes and you start to empower the site people to know what to look for, to how to do the paperwork, to know how to inspect it, to understand the system, somehow it breaks down a barrier of this is different than what we're used to. And the minute that we start off, our experience is when we've trained people in those inspector courses, all of a sudden the maintenance teams and the engineering teams have a much bigger appetite for using it as a new repair method than they were before we did that course, right? I mean, that's kind of a fair statement of how we've seen it play out.
Yes.
Yeah. What else do you want to share about Strata as we introduce it? Because we're going to start doing some more episodes introducing Strata's approach, both in technology and in delivery. What else do you have in mind that you want to cover, Mike? Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I guess the big thing is the training that we can provide on all of the services is very, it's like you're going right to the end user. Like, we have trained the trainers for all of the applications that we're doing, and all of the people that have taken the training are very well versed. It would be no different than if you went right to the source. All of our material is stocked, and we really want to make sure that everyone realizes that we're not just in Edmonton. We can provide this straight across Canada. Other than that, I would say that we just got a new location in Spruce Grove. It's got its own warehouse and its own training center now. We're open and we're ready for business.
Awesome. My final thought is this, right? If you're an end user, whether you're on a maintenance team or you're a general contractor, and you're been hesitant in learning how to self-perform because you don't know where to start, just reach out to us because we can help you get started. We can put together, where's the best places to begin, adoption of self-performing specialty services, what are, evaluating the skills that you need and what are the best places to begin, whether that's in composite repair or if you're an inspection company and you want to get on board with Mach 1 tube inspection. If you are a general contractor maintenance team and you want to start self-performing bolting and machining services, particularly, cold cutting and basic flange facing, we can get you on that path. We can start helping you with training. We can start helping you with buying your initial equipment. And then, we have a massive inventory of equipment, so we can also back you up with rentals of equipment as you build up your own arsenals for what your needs are. Because what we know on the service side of the business is when things get busy, your load of what you have is almost never enough. And, you need to have a partner who can sell you equipment, who can rent you equipment, who can give you support to basically get you to a place where we're, enabling you to do more and more of this on your own. And so reach out, ask us for help. And that's what Strata's here to do, is to help maintenance teams and general contractors alike self-perform specialty services across the full spectrum of everything that we have to offer.
I'd say on the next episode, Don, we could probably start to share a little bit about our plug project as well, because I think that will help out a lot of people when it comes to seals and plugs and everything else. So we
Absolutely,
can
yeah.
do
Do that.
that next time.
We'll talk about our StrataEdge program for test plugs in the next episode. Anyway, that'll be a wrap, Mike. It's a good introduction to let people know about Strata and what we're doing. And if you're listening and you're interested, reach out to us. Numbers and websites are in the links. Thanks, everyone. Come and join us for the next episode where we talk about test plugs. Thanks, Mike.
Take care.